And James, 5 minutes in to this movie, we get the pants.
We get pantsed, and they magically fit all of their body types, which is apparently a huge deal.
I've always been confused about women and the way jeans fit, so I don't know. My wife told me when you find jeans that fit, it is magical in and of itself. So jeans that fit all 4 girls is extra magic.
So this is a big fucking deal.
Yeah, for the girls out there, this is insane.
Crazy.
Call me crazy, but it's scientifically impossible that a pair of pants could fit me.
And me.
And me.
And me.
James, what is the only thing to wear in this situation? Some magical motherfucking pants.
Jeans.
Or that unlike you and your daughter, she has an ass!
Hey, what's poppin', Colonels? Benny Noodle, welcome in. It is Jimmy Crackcorn. I am the popcorn puppeteer, the denim dog. And is that a corn dog in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?
I don't know why it can't be both, James. Ha-ha!
I'm done. You can introduce yourself.
That caught me off guard.
It's my job.
I'm Nick. I am that aforementioned corn dog in the pocket. Happy to see you, my friend, and happy to be back for another week reviewing a movie.
Hell yeah.
We'll call it a movie, that's for sure.
You can call this a movie. It's a movie from 2005, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. First time watch for you?
Yeah, absolutely first time watch.
I'm shocked.
Really?
How about your wife? Has she seen this before?
Oh, she loves this movie.
Okay. My wife does as well. She personally was very excited that this was on the slate and she wanted to watch it with me.
I think any girl who was between the ages of 12 and, say, 18 when this movie came out is probably seen this multiple times.
It's a favorite in half of the household over here, and it sounds like it's the same case over there. But Nick, what if I told you I had a special guest for this recording?
I'd say bring it on.
What I have with me is the pants from Japan that I purchased.
The Japants?
With you while we were traveling. Just two brothers. It's two brothers. It's called Two Brothers. My two brotherhood pants that I got when I was traveling, they're going to be hanging up in the background and they're going to be with us the entire time. And I see that you just walked to your closet and pulled out your travel pants. So shout out Palette Life Story, the brand of pants that we got. Shout out Yoshi. Shout out Takashi. Because the denim pants are going to be in the recording. They're going to be traveling along this pod road of this movie. And I'm happy you got your pants. And it's going to be a party with the pants. Pants party.
With the pants. Party with pants?
It is a pants party. I'm now upset, though, that you never shipped your pants to me. So
Pants.
That's what this episode is about. Pants.
Get ready to get pantsed and piss your pants, laugh your pants off, and maybe take them off. But before we do that, Nick, what do we got to do? We got to get warmed up, right? And how are we going to do that?
We're going to get warmed up with the Vulture Cinematrix quiz, as has become the tradition here on the podcast.
And we invite you to play along.
For those first-time listeners, what we have is a grid, a 3x3 grid, with topics on the top and on the left side. And what we're trying to do is match up the two topics to each other, and you get points for the more rare of an answer. And at the end, you get ranked in the top percentage of everyone who's played for that day. Now, James, we're on a perfect streak.
I want to say it's been the last 4 episodes.
I think so as well. So you get 9 guesses for 9 squares. You miss one, you can't be perfect.
You're out. You know the rules. If you're a true listener, if you're a true colonel and a true corn dog, you know what's up. So let's get popped and let's get quizzed up in this bee. Nick, why don't you go ahead and read the vertical row for us here?
So on the verticals, we have actor Riz Ahmed, actor Florence Pugh, and actor Rachel McAdams.
Okay, off the bat, I'm feeling good. I feel like I know a good amount of movies with those guys.
I didn't for Riz Ahmed, but I looked at his face and I thought, this fucking guy.
Yep.
So I'm good.
We got this. Okay, and then our other row of categories, we have release date 2010 to 2019, one-word title, and Oscar-nominated film. How you feeling? Are we ready?
I don't know how rare of movies I can pull for these folks, but I have some answers.
Okay. All right. So why don't you go ahead, kick it off, and pick a square for us, Nick?
I think we should just go in order. So let's start with our boy Riz Ahmed, and let's go release date 2010 to 2019.
Now, they kind of like to group these categories together where they can fit into both categories, so we kind of need to workshop it as we go. Don't want to spoil our answers so that you guys at home can formulate your own answers and thoughts. But if you're looking at release date 2010 to 2019, I have an answer for sure.
Okay.
But I also think it can fit into a different category as well. What do you got for that? Do you have anything? What's your movies? Because the categories for Riz Ahmed are going to be release date 2010 to 2019, one-word title, and Oscar-nominated film.
Yes. So for this one, 2010 to 2019, I actually have 3 movies for him.
Okay.
I believe.
It's probably
2 of them.
I have 2. So
2 are one-word titles for me.
Oh, okay.
And they're all release date 2010 to 2019. But I think for this one, Rogue One might be our best shot here.
Yep. Rogue One was going to be one of my suggestions. The other one was going to be Nightcrawler.
I believe that got an Oscar nom.
Probably.
So I wanted to save it for that. He was also, for one-word title, he was our big bad in Venom.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So I believe we go Rogue One, Venom, Nightcrawler. And I think we just go across the board with this one.
I think that's a good way to do this quiz, is just look at the actor and present the categories and then workshop all your answers. Unless there's some cross-pollination with the other actors. And then you got to strategically plot it out. So it's not so black and white. But let's go ahead. 2010, 2019, we're going to go ahead and enter Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Shocker, it's correct. It's also very popular. 53%.
53%, over half of players of this quiz.
You hate to see it.
I have a feeling we may get the same thing with Venom.
I feel like we're going to suffer the same fate. So let's go ahead, punch in Venom, guess one-word title for Riz Ahmed. Okay, a little bit better.
40%.
And let's go ahead and knock out this row. Oscar-nominated film. We're going to go with the creepy Jake Gyllenhaal Nightcrawler. Oh, okay. Now we're in business.
4%.
Now we're in business.
That is surprising to me. And now I'm wondering what other Oscar nom films he was in.
And as a reminder, Oscar-nominated films just mean nominated for anything. Could be any category. Could be costumes, could be sound, could be best picture, could be acting, could be directing, could be writing, adapted screenplay, could be anything. It's a bigger pool than you think.
All right, James. Well, we knocked out Riz Ahmed. Let's go over to Florence Pugh.
The Pughness.
Who's all the rage right now.
Yes. Okay. Let me see if this is one word. And if it is, it's going to be very popular. It's not. Okay. Oscar-nominated movies. What are you thinking? Because I'm thinking of one, but I think it can also be one word, and it is...
Well, Oppenheimer, for me, just jumps out. Recency bias.
That's an answer to pocket, in case we can think of anything more obscure. But I wanted to say, I don't know why, but did Midsommar get nominated?
I'm not sure if it did, but it's definitely a one-word title, in that I believe that was about 2019.
It was 2019. 100%.
Okay, so we have 2
Okay.
one-word titles. One that falls in the 20. Do you have anything else for Florence Pugh?
Oh, man. I feel like I've not been bringing a lot of answers to the table these last couple rounds. Oh, and then sometimes they group these folks together because they're all in a movie that's coming out soon or they're connected somehow.
James, tell me if you remember this. We've gotten us... The benefit of doing a lot of these quizzes is you end up finding about some movies you may have never seen, forgot about, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she's in a movie that we've seen pop up quite a few times on this. And I believe it's a Jane Austen adaptation. I think she was in Little Women.
Yeah, for Oscar-nominated film, I feel like we can jump out on the ledge, risk our perfect streak, and go for Little Women.
Okay.
One-word title, we could just make that Oppenheimer, because I'm sure everyone's going to say Oppenheimer for Oscar. And then we bump over Midsummer to 2010.
You feel good about Midsummer
for release date? 100%.
Okay,
no idea.
Yeah, I like
because
that.
I remember
I thought we were doing Midsummer Oscar nom, but
no. Well,
I had it backwards.
I was gonna say because I distinctly remember talking about that movie on a job, and I was working on the show called Perfect Harmony. That was one season. It got canceled, and it actually stars Bradley Whitford, who makes an appearance in this film. So I remember that being 2019 specifically.
Well, I trust you, buddy.
So let's go ahead and let's go left to right again. We're going to go 2010, 2019, and we're going to type in Midsummer, or phonetically as it's called, Midsummer.
16%?
I'll take it. I remember that poster.
Right.
She's just crying and looking sad. What we got next, Nick?
We're doing Oppenheimer for one word title.
We are doing Oppenheimer for one word title, and I am sending it. I am pressing blow up button now.
25%. Okay.
The punis is...
I believe a lot of people would have gone with that for Oscar nom. So
I think, yeah, we're chilling right here. We're chilling. And then we're going to go with Little Women for Oscar nominated film.
Yes.
When I type in Little, there's The Little Mermaid, Little Women, Chicken Little, Little Fockers, The Little Prince, Little Man, that one with Marlon Wayans. Little, our little sister, Little Eggs, Little Big Soldier, Huevos, Little Rooster's Excellent Adventure, Little Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland. There's a lot of littles. So we're going to go with Little Women here. And I'm guessing.
Little Women it is.
Yeet. Oh, no. That is the biggest percentage, however, but it worked. I guess that's got to be the most popular. So I guess Oppenheimer, maybe everyone had the big brain idea like we did. Not so big brain, medium brain.
Smooth brain.
Okay, we got 6 out of 9. And we're going to move down to our final row here, which is going to be actor Rachel McAdams. We're very familiar with Rachel, I believe.
Yes.
So I'm brainstorming some movies. I immediately have one for a release date.
Me too.
She was, I know she was in some Oscar-nominated films. I just need to think about it.
I have an Oscar-nominated film, but it also is...
Please be release date, because that's what I have.
No, it's also a one-word title.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's crack that egg open. What do you got?
So my one-word title would be Spotlight from 2015.
Oh, yes. Okay.
With Mark Ruffalo, I believe, as well.
Yep.
For release date 2010-2019, she played in a movie that I believe was an underrated, I don't know if I can call it a franchise because there's only 2 films, but she was Watson's bride-to-be in the Sherlock Holmes movies, starring Robert Downey Jr. I know the first one was 2008-ish, but the second one, Game of Shadows, was, I believe, 2011-2012.
My release day one was just going to be Doctor Strange.
Was she in the original Doctor Strange?
Yeah, she's Christine.
Oh, that's right.
She's Christine something. She's like the surgeon co-worker of Stephen Strange.
That's right.
That was going to be my release date. What do you think is going to be more, what's going to be less thought about? I feel like Sherlock Holmes would probably be less thought of.
I think so. Game of Shadows.
And then for Oscar nom, do you think Doctor Strange could have got a nom for visual effects or something? Because they had all those like Inception city bending stuff.
I'm not willing to put it on the line. Now, there's one more movie that I'm racking my brain trying to remember. It's with Jake Gyllenhaal and he's a fighter.
Southpaw?
Southpaw. That's a one word.
She's in that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a lineup, so we can.
Southpaw. Great. Good call.
I mean, sometimes it takes 2 of us. Sometimes it takes 2 to tango. But I feel like you've been very, very helpful these last few quizzes. So we technically have a lineup. Are we satisfied with it?
I think so.
Oscar nom, we can go Spotlight. One word, we can go Southpaw. And release date, we can go with one of the Sherlock Holmes movies.
It has to be the second one. Because the first one was for sure before we graduated high school.
That was like 2008, 2009. It was during Robert Downey Jr.'s kind of renaissance moment when he was in Iron Man, Tropic Thunder, and then Sherlock Holmes. If she's in the sequel, Game of Shadows, then I'm good with that.
Absolutely. Ready to do this?
You want to start there?
Yep.
Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows.
That 4%.
4%. There's no way Doctor
gotta love
Strange
it.
is lower than that because people, the masses, love phases 1 through 3 MCU. So that was good. That was a good poll. All right. One word title, Rachel McAdams. We're going to type in Southpaw. Okay. All right. This row's looking mighty promising. I'm sure our
17%.
Final answer is probably going to be a high percentage, but sometimes I don't care. I'll take the layup on the game-winning score. We're going to get this dub by punching in Spotlight for Oscar-nominated film, Rachel McAdams.
Let's do it. 57%. But you know what, James? It's another clean sweep of the board.
And you know what, Nick? We are top 5% of players today. That's pretty damn good. As a reminder, our record is top 2, which is going to be a very high bar to clear week after week. And it's going to be a very rare occurrence if we approach 4, 3, tie it at 2. I would love to hit 1% one day.
Me too. Let's go check out our most popular answers. So our most popular answers, James.
For the RZA, the Jizza, Riz Ahmed, we got Rogue One was the most popular. Venom was the most popular. So we're with the masses there.
Right in line.
Sound of Metal. That was pretty recent. That was the other Whiplash, I think.
Yes.
What do we got for the pewness here, Nick? Most popular.
For the pewness, we have 2010 to 2019 was Little Women. One word answer or one word title was Midsummer. And Oscar nom was Little Women.
Way to go, guys. And finally, we have Rachel McAdams. Oh, a movie that me and my wife love very much, Game Night with Jason Bateman. And then Spotlight was the most popular for one word and Oscar-nominated movie. So people kind of struggle with this one, it looks like.
Yeah, they're actors you know, and then you have to name very specific works, and people fold under the pressure.
Let's move over to the more obscure movies. This looks like some of these I don't even recognize. All right. Starting with the Riz release date, we got a movie called Black Gold. Next to that, one word title. I don't know if this is the same for you, but this one doesn't even have the poster's not working. It just says Hamlet poster.
Hamlet poster.
It's like a broken link. And then Flea for Oscar nom. Never heard of any of those except for Hamlet, another Hamlet movie, I'm sure. The pewness, Nick, most obscure. What do we got?
2010 to 2019, we had King Lear. So she acted in a lot of play adaptations. One word title, we had Malevolent. And Oscar nom, I believe this was this year, The Boy and the Heron. The Boy and the Heron.
It's very small.
Background.
It's very small.
Yeah.
Yes, that was nominated for.
I believe that was nominated
Best Animated, and I think that won. Didn't know she was in that. Finally, Rachel McAdams' release date. Everything Will Be Fine. Never heard of it. One word title. Passion. Never heard of it. And Oscar-nominated film, Sherlock Holmes, OG. All right. Maybe the writing, maybe the screenplay. I don't know.
Visuals, I don't know.
Something.
Music, could have been music. Might have been a Hans Zimmer joint.
I
can't say that for certain. But
I think that was Hans.
There you have it. Another sweep for the boys.
Pretty sure we're on a 5 quiz streak of going perfect. Way to go, Nick. I feel warmed. My kernel's popped. Your hot dog is rolled. It's time to move on. We're going to talk about the movie that we are reviewing this week, which, like we said, is The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants from 2005. Which came out when we were graduating 8th grade. And look at us, a couple 30-year-olds watching it for the first time. So this movie is directed by Ken Kwapis. And we were debating if we knew this guy or not. Didn't really recognize him for movies, but he has directed a lot of TV episodes. I want to say subconsciously, I would always say his name out loud if I were binge watching the show The Office, because it would end the opening credits with directed by Ken Kwapis, and I would just say out loud to myself, Ken Kwapis.
It's a very satisfying name to say.
Yeah, he's directed some
Kwapis.
fire episodes of The Office. One is literally the fire episode with Ryan started the fire, Diversity Day, Booze Cruise, Casino. He's directed actually a lot of really good Office episodes, but then again, Office episodes are pretty much going to be a 95% success rate of how good they are. Nick, who do we got in this movie? Who's starring here?
Well, our stars are going to be our four main characters, our four girls who pass these pants around. This is going to be Amber Tamblyn, Alexis Bledel, America Ferrera, and Blake Lively.
All right. I haven't really heard of Amber Tamblyn, and Alexis Bledel, I believe, is from Gilmore Girls fame. So she was definitely shooting seasons on seasons on seasons while she was filming this movie. So this was probably a break in the schedule for the GGs over there. America Ferrera, shout out, got an Oscar nomination for her supporting role in Barbie this past year. And Blake Lively, I feel like, is in a bunch of movies, but I don't think they're necessarily good. But from what I understand, she's a cool person and she's married to Ryan Reynolds, so she's A-okay in my book.
Yeah, I'd say she's most famous for her relationship with Ryan Reynolds and how they act on social media. Just seem like a very fun couple.
In control of the budget are these four ladies. The budget was $25 million estimated and went on to gross $42 million worldwide. So we made a profit there, Nick.
Not bad.
Yeah, low risk, low reward. There we are. There we have it.
My favorite kind of investment.
There's not going to be a whole lot to unpack from this pocket of pants, but we're going to do it. And it's going to happen in Plot Talk. And before we get there, I'm going to read you this log line. Four best girlfriends hatch a plan to stay connected with one another as their lives start off in different directions. They pass around a pair of secondhand jeans that fits each of their bodies perfectly.
How does that work, James?
The stage is set. Summer's upon us. It's June. We're traveling. And we got a pair of pants that's going to lead the way into Plot Talk. Plot Talk.
So like all good movies start, we get a voiceover. And our voiceover tells us that I like to think that fate had a hand in what happened that summer. That it was the pants' destiny to find us.
The pants.
So there's this magical pair of pants we're aware of. Obviously, the name of the movie is famous, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Kind of a funny title, kind of a whimsical title. We have Bridget, Lena, Carmen, and Tibby. This makes up our foursome. They describe themselves as four different people who combine to form one complete person. We find out all their moms were in the same prenatal yoga class. They were all born within a week of each other. They all have these specific personalities. Bridget likes to take charge of the group. She's a go-getter. Her mom died. Her mom committed suicide. That's kind of glossed over in the beginning, but it's pretty important.
I didn't know that happened. I just thought she was dead.
Lena they describe her as shy and beautiful. Carmen they call her the writer.
Well, she calls herself the writer because Carmen is the one narrating in this voiceover in the beginning.
Yeah. And then Tibby is the rebel. And James, 5 minutes in to this movie, we get the pants.
We get pantsed. And what's the part where it says they all make one complete person based on their four personalities? I didn't really see that as a theme throughout the movie.
No, there's a lot of things that are said in this movie. So, shocker, off the bat, James, we're not the demographic for this movie.
Oh,
But it sounds like this movie had a lot of... My wife was talking to me about this. She was saying, yeah, but as a preteen girl, this was such a great movie. And I imagine a lot of things that are said in this movie are meant for preteen girls. Like, oh, us and our friends, we make one person. Guys don't feel that way. So I can't relate to that, but I imagine that's...
Well, if we were like that way, then we'd be like Voltron. One would be the leg, the other one would be the other leg. You had two arms, and someone takes charge as the head. So Bridget would be the head. I'm going to say Lena is the arms. Carmen and Tibby are the legs.
You heard it here first, folks.
And then you got Voltron. So back to the pants.
The girls from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants are a Gundam who have assembled.
And that Gundam's wearing a pair of denim pants. And they get these pants from a thrift store, it looks like. Well, I guess so, because that log line said it was secondhand. They have this whole scene where they try on the pants. And they magically fit all of their body types, which is apparently a huge deal. So, Nick, I threw in a link to a clip from this movie. It's the only clip I can find, and it's from Facebook.com. So I don't have a Facebook.
Me neither.
I know it can work for you. So I was trying to look up how they did this shot, like if there was any kind of trickery, if they flexed a CGI, because they did make it a point to have it be a one take where Blake Lively takes off the pants in the middle of the store and hands it to America Ferrera, and they probably have the most two drastically different body types. So I didn't know if they were trying to flex some movie magic here by handing the pants over in one shot. So I was trying to see if there was like a CGI swap out or if it was just off camera below the frame. So can you watch this with me and tell me what you think? Because I couldn't find it. So maybe these pants are magical.
You think that a pair of jeans that fits all three of you is going to fit all of this?
You'll see Bridget take off the pants and hand it to Carmen.
They do go below the frame.
I feel like she still got them on. She still got a hand on them. I was going to say maybe Blake was pinching them at the front, and then it just seemed like it was tighter. And then when she took it off and handed it over, it was able to fit onto America Ferrera. But I don't know. I thought, are they trying to flex some movie magic here? Because they did make it a point to include that all in one take. And I was like, okay, Ken Quapis, stop your cooking.
Whoa,
I'm in.
Quappy, whoa.
Hi, Quappy, I'm in.
And feel free to cut this out. I want to go on record saying, as a 32-year-old man, I felt really creepy sitting here watching this movie, watching 16-year-old Blake Lively take her pants off.
Avert your eyes.
I didn't like it.
They're astounded that the pants fit all of them. And they're like, we got to buy these pants now. Like, we have to do it. So they make it a point to go to the yoga studio that all their moms had a class in and break in. I'll shout out Blake Lively because it did look like she jumped off the dumpster and grabbed onto the emergency drop-down fire ladder and dragged it down, because it wasn't a stunt double because it was Blake in the shot. Shout out there. Kudos.
Shout out.
Doing your own stunts there.
So we get up there and they all light a candle in this like ritual thing that's happening, and they cannot stop talking about these pants. Now we also find out all the girls are going to be separated for the summer. And what they're going to do is the way they're going to stay connected is they're going to ship this pair of pants to each other throughout the summer, hence the traveling pants.
Yes.
And they're creating a sisterhood of these traveling pants. That's the title of the movie. And they're going to create some rules. So they create this they call it a manifesto. Like, we got to create a manifesto.
It's pants policies.
But some of the rules include everybody gets the pants for 1 week. You have to remember and write down and share the most exciting thing that happened to you while wearing those pants. There was a rule about documenting the things on the pants. I don't think that got...
They said you document what happens on the pants at the end of the trip, because no one does any documenting of the pants mid-trip, midsummer. It's all done at the end, and that's what the credit sequence is all about. Spoilers.
Okay. Any removal of the pants has to be done by the wearer.
So no boys
Weird rule.
or girls can take it off.
No boys.
For you. And they're looking at Bridget.
And we've already found out at this point.
Because apparently
Bridget's
a bit of a sleut.
She's a horn dog.
She is the horn dog of the year. I don't even have to see any other movie.
We're going to split up, but we have these pants to keep us together. So, James, what we're going to do is we're not going to intertwine the storylines here because it gets pretty convoluted. I want to just go through each girl's storyline here, what happens to them on their little vacation away from their friends.
Yep. And we're going to start out with Lena's story. And her storyline is going to take place in Greece. Alexis Bledel won the lottery on the shooting schedule because she got to go to Greece while everyone else was elsewhere.
I'm jealous.
And of course, her extended family lives on the Santorini Island, which is that picturesque waterfront houses that are just insanely beautiful. And of course, her family has a house that is within this insanely beautiful area of this island.
Why wouldn't they?
She is a little bit of a, not prude, but just kind of very, dresses conservative and is like, I'm not trying to be Bridget, if you know what I'm saying.
Don't be a Bridget.
So they're saying, hey, go meet some boys, go wear some dresses. You never wear bikinis. You never wear pants. I don't know what she wears if she doesn't wear any of that, but apparently she's wearing a nun outfit and she's not about trying to get distracted by silly boys, but she's got these magic pants on and that's going to fuck up her plans real quick. So she falls into the water. She's sketching. She's an artist. She sketches in a notebook. And she falls in. And these pants actually get caught on some hook or some sharp edge underneath the water. And the magical pants right off the rip almost kill Lena.
Did these pants sink? Because she sinks pretty fast.
So,
she is at no point buoyant in
right.
this situation.
Well, I'm now adding a talking point of, are the pants sentient? Yes, because if it was the pants doing, then the pants would have dragged her down. Probably wouldn't let her die, but it knew from some outer worldly knowledge that this grown-ass man that I see you wrote down here, Costas Dunas,
I think, yeah.
Costas Dunas saves Lena from drowning, and this is a Greek gentleman, a young man. Apparently, it's supposed to be the same age. However, Michael Ratty, the actor, is going to be 22 years old as he's making this movie. However, Alexis Bledel is 23. We're not totally creeped out, but for some reason, Costas looks way older than 18. He looks like he's in mid-20s form. And then she's kind of like a little bit wary about this guy. And he's thinking, oh, this is a perfect way to meet my future wife. And then so she's like, all right, thanks for saving me. Thanks for the shirt. I got to go. And Costas is trying to hit, but she's like, nah. So then she leaves, goes back to her family's house and says, oh, I met this guy. And the grandma's like, oh, who was it? I know everyone on the island. And then she says, Costas Dunas. And then her smile drops and she's like, do not mention the Dunas family. Those cheaters, liars, and pieces of shit.
If this is such a small town, when Lena gets to the house and you lay out the rules, wouldn't you bring that up? Like, hey, we have generations of beef with this family over here. Don't talk to them.
More like generations of fish, because this all ties back to a fish deal that's gone wrong. Because apparently the Dunas family, the reason why Costas was down at the harbor there, he's a fisherman. He has a boat and he catches fish and then he sells fish at the fish market. So apparently his ancestors, no matter, I don't know if it was, I guess it was grandparents' generation.
Mm-hmm.
Lena's grandparents owned a restaurant and the Dunas family sold them a bunch of fish. And I believe everyone got hella sick. And then John Taffer came in and said, shut it down. Nobody eats. And then the restaurant dreams got shut down. And then that was that. And then they're like, I hate you guys forever.
Yeah, you can't survive a bad review on an island of 1,000 people. You know, you can't.
Yeah.
It's just bad news. So we have a little bit of a Romeo and Juliet situation brewing with a sprinkling of the Hatfield and McCoys.
And pants.
Obviously the pants.
And that is pantsed for Lena for her first week with the pants. It's on the surface, it seems like nothing good happened for Lena. However, as the audience, we're thinking, okay, well, she's obviously met a love interest and that the pants did it. Magical pants are twirling their little denim stitches, whatever, if you weave pants. I don't know how pants are made.
I'm going to be honest, James, I don't either. It's just one of life's mysteries I've always accepted.
They showed it in the intro montage, but I wasn't paying attention. I was listening to the voiceover. So they kind of have this little back and forth, and Lena's showing up at the fish market, and Costas is like, oh, why would someone be hanging out in the fish market if they weren't waiting for someone?
They weren't trying to hit it.
They start going on dates and stuff, and off screen, she is drawing Costas shirtless.
Kind of like a reverse Titanic sitch.
Kind of weird. So the pants are missing, and now I think the pants are going to come back. We're going out of order here, but Blake wrote a letter, and that letter falls underneath the bed, and Lena does not see the letter. She just sees the pants, and she's getting into the groove of Grease. She's loving her new summer fling, Costas, over here, and they're having an awesome time. They're out practicing how to ride a moped. They're going on a boat with a romantic Little Mermaid scene where Costas says, I love you. They go out dancing, and then this is where her fam comes in, like the SWAT team, and kidnaps her. And then there's this whole verbal disagreement in the club, and this is going back to that fish deal.
It always does come back to the fish deal. So yeah, we have this Greek family fight, and I'm sitting here thinking, she doesn't know these people. How selfish do you have to have your granddaughter visit you, has never been to this island before, and you say, hey, you just inherited this beef with this family you don't know? Like, what the fuck is that?
No, man, ride or die. Family stays forever.
Costas says the same thing. He says, "What? Why are we fighting? We don't know these people. We don't owe our dead great grandparents anything happening with this fish garbage. We're just two kids trying to hang out, and he's trying to bang, obviously." So eventually, Lena stands up for herself to her grandparents. Her granddad's very
stoic and quiet.
Yes.
She accuses him of being very stubborn and not opening up. So that is her way to confront him on his bullshit. And she says, everyone says I'm like grandma, but I'm actually like you, Papa. You're stubborn, just like me.
And she doesn't strike me as stubborn. She's very agreeable. That's kind of her whole thing. She just kind of goes with the program and isn't stubborn or strong-willed. But it really just takes one little small speech from her granddaughter for Grandpa to have an entire change of heart and says, go to him. And she solves generations of family hatred in that one moment.
Now, do you think she solved the family hatred, or do you think she just gave herself a hall pass to go meet up with Costas? Because I'm sure there's still fish beef there.
That's a good question. We don't get resolution to this.
Well, we don't know what happens with the fish storyline, but Lena's in the clear, and she goes down to the ports, the harbor, and Costas is catching a boat back to the mainland. I'm assuming to catch a plane to go back to Chicago because he moved out there. And we get a classic, running up to the boat. We see this all the time in movies where someone's running up to a train usually, and they're like, stop the train. Costas comes off the boat, and she says, I love you. And that's pantsed week 2 for Lena. Lena is done with her conflict and resolution.
All right, next, James, we're going to go over to Bridget's story. Now,
Horny Bridget.
This is going to be the shortest story because there's no substance here in this
Spoiler,
story.
Nick, this is my least favorite storyline of the movie.
Shocker.
And it made me feel weird.
So Bridget, yeah, me too. Bridget this summer is going to be at a Mexican soccer camp. So she gets sent down to this soccer camp in Baja, California. A bunch of white kids are just shipped down to Baja, California for the soccer camp where they get to play on dirt. I don't understand this. We learned that Bridget is one of the best soccer players in the country, high school soccer players in the country. So I don't know what she's doing at this soccer
It seemed
camp.
like it was My Brother, the Pig Town. They said, we need to go down to Mexico City. And then it was just this remote ass dirt road, 100-person population village.
Yes.
Is that stereotyping on the studio's part, or is that just specialized for the soccer camp where they're like, the soccer camp's in the middle of nowhere, so no one can go wander off into a city. The cartel can't get you, and we're just supposed to focus on soccer.
If you're worried about cartels getting to kids, you shouldn't be in Mexico.
So this is perfect.
Yes. So we're at this soccer camp, and immediately, Bridget spots this soccer coach, who's this guy. He's in college. He's going to Columbia. So he's got at least 19. She's 16. Whatever soccer camp thinks it's okay to have one male coach, age 19, around a bunch of 16 to 18-year-old girls should be fired, because we all know nothing good is going to happen here. Just right off the bat, she wants to bang him.
Bridget
it is clear as
on
day.
banging this guy. She looks at him and says, that's my mission, not to learn how to play soccer well. I'm going to bang this coach. At every turn, she is trying to bang this guy.
Yes. And so they go out for a run on the beach, and she's like, I'll race you. They're running as a group, and then they just outrun the entire group of girls and find themselves secluded on the beach. Whoever's running this camp should have seen a lot of signs that this was coming and should have put an end to this. This is a lawless soccer camp.
And to make matters worse, what makes it even more uncomfortable is when she's running next to the coach. It's very awkward small talk. I feel like a lot of their conversations and scenes together are very cringeworthy and uncomfortable because she's running next to him and just says, I'm 17. And I thought, is that good? Because 18, at least where I'm from, at least how I was raised, is the legal age
As
of
most
consent.
decent people are.
It's
Yeah.
the age of, and she says, I'm 17.
In this movie, they're 16. Actually, Blake Lively actually is 16.
Blake Lively is
in this
literally
movie.
16 as they film this, because principal photography began on May 17th, 2004. And Blake Lively was born in 1987. And her birthday was in August or September or something.
So she lies to say she's 17. Couldn't bump it up to 18 to say, hey, thumbs up. I also feel like any of the soccer coaches would know the ages of the participants at your soccer camp. Feels like something that's on the sheet that you get.
The roster.
No, this is a lawless place.
They're gassed and they have this little moment together on the beach, and it begins one of many awkward conversations and sexual tension between this 19-year-old and the 16-year-old. At best, 19.
At bet. Yeah, because we know he's done 1 year in college already, and this is his first summer.
So unless he's a whiz
or this
kid,
is a summer away from college.
then he's at least 19.
Minimum. And I have reason to suspect he's 20.
And can I say, for some reason, they're always meeting up at the beach. I don't know if it's on a run or if they just go out there to do some thinking, but they always end up on the beach. Blake Lively, so she's, as we stated, she's 16 in this movie. So I'm not going to rip her apart too much for her not stellar acting, but her acting is not that great. But the flirting and the exchanges between her and, I don't even know this fool's character, Eric, the coach, the exchanges are so awkward, and the flirting and cat and mouse game of that. It's really not even cat and mouse. It's really just predator, because Bridget is a predator. She like dumps water on her face and shakes her hair around, just stares at Eric, and he's just like, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Who else is in charge here? Somebody had to have noticed this.
They don't really tie this in, but in the game, in the scrimmage portions, it seems like she's being a little bit of a Kobe, a little bit of a ball hog of the soccer game. And she says, hey, it's not all about you, it's about your teammates. So I'm not quite sure if this is supposed to thematically tie in, but Eric brings that up on a beach conversation and says, oh, I saw you out there. You scare me. You have the most intensity I've ever seen. And I'm like, really? Like, out of everybody in the world?
Well, I'm assuming this was
bad writing,
pulled out of the book. And so you're talking about teenage girls who like idolizing these conversations that are way more mature than any teenager would ever have, right? Saying phrases that no 16-year-old has ever said, or 20-year-old guy has ever said.
Yeah.
You scare me. You don't even know what you're doing. You're a 20-year-old college kid. You don't know what scary is, you weirdo. Never heard that in my life.
And that conversation rolls into a very expository moment where Bridget explains that the school suggested that she go through therapy after her mom died. And the school shrink said that her single-mindedness leads her to the point of self-destruction. Very on the nose, just like her flirting with Eric. It's way too obvious. It's way too awkward. And I think most of their scenes are terrible because of the way they're written and the acting.
Awful.
This guy is not even bringing that much to the table either.
He's bringing nothing. He's just got long, blonde, shaggy hair, and that's good enough for us.
And what do you think about the look of him? Was he supposed to be a quote-unquote hunk for 2005 standards?
Yeah,
because
exactly what he's supposed to be.
My wife said, ew, this guy is so ugly with that hair.
It was made specifically for teenage girls in 2005. So at that time, this was it. Go watch She's the Man. It's a lot of the same aesthetic.
I was going to say that it did remind me of that.
Yeah. So all the coaches and counselors of this camp, they go to the cantina, right? Because you don't have to, you could drink at 18 in Mexico.
That cantina?
Exactly. Bridget's like, I'm going to go to the cantina and get with this guy. So she goes into the cantina, no IDs, no nothing, nobody cares. She walks into the cantina. Now, I'm under the impression that he's there with a bunch of other coaches and counselors. And she gets out on the dance floor and starts grinding on this dude.
Yeah.
And at no point does anyone else there say, whoa, dude, that girl's 16 and she's part of our camp. What are we doing?
She's a horn dog. She's the horniest character I've seen on this podcast so far.
But where's the supervision at, is what I'm saying.
If you ever did an HR training at work, you know for a fact that if you go to a bar or a club with your coworkers, it is considered a work function. So all HR rules must be followed at said bar or said function. But Eric is just getting predatored on by horny Bridget. This fool, I mean, you got to give it to this guy because he keeps trying to say no. Like, Bridget's trying to get this fool arrested, dude.
Yeah.
She's trying to get him thrown in jail. And he is saying, no, please stop. My corn dog can't take it anymore. It's going to burst.
He wants it, but he has some morals, and he says, hey, like, I can't do this.
If Bridget and Lena swap places, Costas and Bridget would be banging in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, maybe less.
Yeah. Really, Bridget was going after anybody she saw. The first dude, it just happened to be one guy at this camp.
With an ugly ass haircut.
Fixated on it.
Yeah.
Eventually, they do bang on the beach.
Well, hold on. What happens?
Oh.
Pants.
Bridget gets the pants.
Bridget gets pants. So the pants come in, and the pants look at Bridget and say, it's go time. Time to plow this guy. Let's plow away your depression.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's fighting depression, but we're didn't know that. Don't know.
I didn't know that.
So she thinks that statutory rape's going to make her happy. That's really where she's at here.
Yikes.
They do. So she puts on the pants and a shirt and walks by his cabin or tent or yurt or whatever he's in. And
now, did the pants
heads down to the beach?
Did the pants emit some sort of scent or sound effect as they walked by his window?
Like a pheromone?
Yeah. like a little old timey cartoon when they're floating towards this delicious smelling smoke from the kitchen. Was it one of those moments?
Like a pie on the windowsill. He just got lifted off of his feet.
Did Eric get pied on the window by the pants? I'm going to say yes.
These pants are a problem.
They might be the antagonist.
So they do bang on the beach.
Boom.
But it does not cure her depression or make her happy. This was in the letter that Lena lost in Greece, and we find out she's going through a difficult time, but we'll pick up on that storyline
Doesn't matter
in a little bit.
Lena's having an awesome time in Greece, meanwhile.
She's solving family drama. She's bringing together the island of Santorini.
She's having an awesome summer.
Boat.
If I were to choose any summer experience, it would be Lena's, because
she's the only one who had a good summer.
Yeah, her summer was sick. Like, she met a cute guy, went on dates, had a secret relationship, solved problems, and got to go to Santorini. Bridget was just a horn dog till the end, banged on the beach, and then became sad. And that's pantsed for Bridget's first week with the pants. So she sends the pants away to Lena. But meanwhile, we're going to jump over to Carmen's story. And she is going to go to South Carolina to meet up with her dad. So Carmen's dad left her. We saw this in the opening montage when they were children. Left the family when she was maybe about 10 or something. 9 years old, it looks like. The dad's played by Bradley Whitford, whose character name is Al, apparently. I just kept calling him Carmen's dad. Aforementioned, he was on the show I worked on, Perfect Harmony, which got canceled after one season. Thank you very much. And if you're a West Wing fan, you know exactly who this is. So Bradley Whitford is our dad. He picks up Carmen from the train station. The train station has this really obvious fog machine going to work.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
Like, there's random atmospheric smoke inside this establishment. And it looks very artificial, and it bothered me right off the rip.
Quapis was in his bag, man.
Quapis was like, hit the fog, dog. Quap it up. Quap it, dog.
We need to put out there my signature fog machine. Otherwise, they won't know it's me.
The quapness. So she is picked up by her dad. She's super excited to be reunited with him. And then we're slapped in the face with a second family. And even worse, it's a secret second family. Carmen's Puerto Rican. The mom's Puerto Rican. And this family is very white. It's very blonde and very creepy and very white. It gave me big Get Out vibes.
Well, that's funny because Carmen's dad is played by
Bradley Whitford, and he's the father in Get Out.
Yeah, so
I have this theory that it could be the same person later down the road.
What if Jordan Peele watched this movie and said, "That's my guy"?
The mom is very Southern Belle-like. The daughter and the son are both just bleach blonde haired. They're kind of creepy because, I mean, they're brother and sister, but they do look kind of too culty and similar standing next to each other. Kind of similar outfits and a little bit too, I don't know. Something was off with that.
Very proper, like over the top.
Like something's wrong in that house.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those houses where appearances matter more than substance. And that upsets Carmen because Carmen is a firecracker Latina who is all substance and fuck yo style.
Your pants.
Well, hold on now. So we get awkward family dinners. We have a lot of awkward interactions. Carmen and her dad want to play tennis. She loves playing tennis with her dad. They're going to go play tennis. Turns out they have to go to Paul,
Yeah, they go to a soccer game.
Yeah, we also got dropped. Not just is there a family, there's a wedding happening in like a couple weeks.
By the end of the summer, that's when the wedding's happening.
Love that.
So the bomb got dropped on Carmen 2 weeks ago. Carmen does not have the pants at this moment. That's worth noting because the pants have effects on this movie.
That's why everything's going.
That's
why everything's going downhill. She has this moment where she's going to be this proud Latina woman. She comes into the kitchen, starts speaking Spanish. The mom is not being rude to the Hispanic maid.
Well, hold on.
But not being nice either.
Go back to the kitchen scene because that fucking dumbass daughter, America Ferrera, comes in and is obviously speaking Spanish. And then Krista, I believe her character name is, she just says, is she speaking Spanish? No, it's Japanese. Fucking idiot.
Like, guys.
What rock did you live under for your whole life? Dumbass.
You have a Hispanic maid. You clearly know what Spanish is. I think she even says at some point, like, her English isn't so good.
It reminds me of Get Out because they seem like they're trying to be polite and proper, but there's so many just passive aggressive comments that are happening in that house.
Like a little over the top almost. Like, we get it.
Yeah, and at one point, Carmen passes by Krista's room, and she's hanging out with her little white friend, and the little white friend says, is that her? And then Krista goes, yeah. And then they start laughing. I'm like, you're a bitch.
Get her. She's different. Like, it's very... So, again, a lot of these interactions for all the girls are extremely over the top, egregious, sensationalized situations that I'm sure teenage girls feel.
Yeah. I mean, they're real problems, not fitting in, second families, not quite prejudice, but just like not understanding of one's background culture. So they're like real issues.
Not validating feelings. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all real. It's all good. I just, it's a little bit too on the nose with the Spanish line.
It's overly on the nose.
Yeah. Most people wouldn't act like this. So I'm not quite buying it. But what's up with Paul? When they go to the soccer game and then Bradley Whitford, Al, he has to dip because the wedding venue fell through. So they have to hold the wedding at the house now. And he says, I gotta go figure this out. Hey, why don't you go hang out with Paul? So Carmen and Paul play tennis, and Carmen straight domes this guy, headshots, put him into concussion protocol because she beams a tennis ball at this guy. And Nick, I don't know if I was reading too much into this, but it seemed like there was also sexual tension there between Paul and Carmen. Just for a little bit.
So I thought all of the girls were going to fall in love a little bit over the summer. So I thought we were going to have a weird stepbrother thing going on. Now we already have a college kid and a 16-year-old. Yeah. So we've crossed the Rubicon on inappropriate relationships.
How many lines can we cross?
So I really thought we were going here.
Yeah.
I thought we were going with stepbrother thing, but that's not the case.
Thank God.
Now, if people want to say, why did they think that Carmen was weird? It's because she's playing tennis with this guy she doesn't know, and she starts grunting and just like, rah, rah, and then just spikes his ball into his forehead and like knocks him out.
And Paul obviously doesn't play tennis because he's just sitting there like, okay, hit me in the head.
Yeah. So maybe the daughter saying, is that her? Yeah, that crazy bitch who's just screaming and hitting this tennis ball at my brother. Yeah, that's her. She was acting insane.
He's missing. And Carmen says, is he in the hospital? And then I get another creepy get out moment because the father, the mother, and the daughter kind of line up together like, uh-oh, there's a glitch in the matrix. What do you know?
She's on to us.
Yeah. And I thought, did they beat Paul? Like, what is their deal? But no.
That's what I thought. Did he get sent away to like a shock therapy gay camp? Like, what happened here?
that seems like the family that would do that.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's just a lot of off-putting moments with this family. And they say, why would he be in the hospital? Like they're hiding something. And then she reveals the tennis ball situation. They're like, oh no, he's just visiting his alcoholic dad in Atlanta.
It's like, oh, okay. You might be wondering to yourself, how does that play into the movie? doesn't.
So I'll throw this out now. With this being based on a book, I am sure the book is great. This movie got made because the book was probably
I'm not
really
sure
good.
about that.
Well, Nick's not sure about it, but I'm sure the book's good. And the problem with making movies out of books is that there's so much more to the books, and you can have infinite pages almost of storylines. So I feel like studios always have the need to include a lot of storylines, but then they kind of fizzle out or don't have a resolution or don't have a proper arc, which I think is a problem in this
Or
movie.
they're not built up properly. Like Bridget's trauma or Carmen's trauma with her dad leaving.
So that's the problem with making movies from books.
Some premature resolution.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
But hey, we got pants. The pants arrived for Carmen.
Everything's going to start looking up now.
Psych, because they go to the tailor and they're getting the bridesmaids' dresses. So Al, the dad, he had plans to get married by the end of summer, and he chose not to tell his daughter, his biological daughter Carmen, that he was getting married in 7 weeks. And on top of that, he didn't even tell them that he was with a second family. This awkward bridal dress store scene starts out because Al doesn't know Carmen's dress size, and we get a very, I'm sure, very relatable to anybody, just a body shaming scene. Carmen's character is a little bit bigger, so the dress that Al picked out doesn't quite fit her. And there's all these, it's that too much on the nose verbal jabs, and it's from the tailor, who's like, "Oh, well, I guess that didn't quite fit. Well, maybe I can fix it. I don't know. This monster in the dressing room is so massive. Maybe I have more material to fix this." God, like, no one would act like this. It's very unprofessional.
I also don't blame the tailor. I blame Al for this one, because you're bringing someone in late, and this tailor's thinking, I don't have time to make these alterations. I got to think outside the box.
Do you know how many weddings I'm doing right now? It's July.
She says maybe we could put a corset on her and kind of suck it in, and maybe we could let out the other dresses so they match. She's trying to brainstorm a little bit. And then this poor tailor has been working with this family, obviously, and says, yeah, for these ones. And then for the other one, and Carmen comes storming out like, "I'm not the other one. My name's Carmen." It's like, well, you've met this tailor 20 minutes ago and she doesn't know your fucking name. Okay? Sorry. You know who doesn't know my name? My tailor.
But Carmen's been pushed to the edge because she's sick of this bullshit. And this was the final straw. So this is a big blow up scene. And she leaves the bridal store with the pants. She runs away and she's ready to abandon this whole trip. Is missing in action for a little bit. Gets dropped off by a cab driver. This cab driver played a character named Big Leroy in Snakes on a Plane.
Okay.
I was trying to deep dive all these actors. Not a lot to really dig up, but that was a highlight. Big Leroy is the cab driver.
Yeah.
Drops her off and says, "I don't think anybody's home." And she says, "They're probably out looking for me." And then hears a noise, goes to the side yard, sees that this creepy get out family is having a nice, pleasant, proper button up dinner. And oddly enough, they're all framed like it's a sitcom where you can see everybody's fronts that are facing the window that Carmen's looking at. No one's sitting on that backside, like a normal family would do.
No.
You fill the 4 sides of the table. You don't just sit on 3 sides like it's a stage play. She sees that nobody cares. Nobody was looking for her. So she picks up a rock and hucks it at the window, shatters it, and then dips. Calls Tibby, says, "I'm coming home. I'm getting on the bus. F this, I'm out." And Carmen's going back home, which leaves us to the 4th friend and our 4th storyline, Tibby.
Now, Tibby, unfortunately, does not get to go anywhere. She works at a convenience store called Wallman's.
Now, was this supposed to be a Walgreens or a Walmart?
Yes. So Tibby has the best story arc. Just gonna throw that out there. So she's working. She doesn't like working. She's hitting all the stuff on the shelves. One thing we do know about Tibby is she likes filming. She's making a little documentary about the despair of humans. She's a dark soul, kind of got the early 2000s goth going on. She probably listens to a little bit of My Chemical Romance.
Absolutely.
This
is probably the most believable
kind of
written teenage character of the movie. because they think, oh my gosh, my life sucks and everything's awful, and going through that emo phase.
She has to babysit her younger sisters who are in a crib baby, like very young. But as she's working, there's this young girl who falls down at the store, and Tibby calls for help, calls an ambulance, gets this girl rushed to the hospital. We're thinking that's a weird scene. This girl does wake up on her way out on the stretcher, looks at her. She has a price tag on her forehead.
Little sticker.
Yeah, makes a backhanded remark at her and then gets wheeled off. Tibby's thinking, that's looking weird.
Yeah, I was like, what a little dick kid. This little dick kid is played by Jenna Boyd, who plays the character of Bailey. I'm sure you recognized her from Dickie Roberts, former child star. We clocked the other homeboy from Daredevil, young Matt Murdock. That was also the only project that we recognized him from. She is going to be the main focal point of Tibby's storyline. So Tibby does not have the pants when this happens. And then Bailey shows up at her doorstep with the pants because they mistakenly got delivered to her house. So we're thinking, okay, the pants brought them together. However, it wasn't the pants, it was FedEx, because the FedEx fucked it up. Unless the pants, again, with the pheromones, manipulated the FedEx driver and said, turn right.
Well, that's exactly what happened. So
Fact.
These pants consciously made their way to Bailey's house. And so Bailey ends up on Tibby's doorstep, says, hey, they delivered these pants to the wrong address. She goes, you're the girl who fainted in the store. What a wild coincidence. Pants. Bailey invites herself into the house, sees that Tibby is making a movie, and forces herself into becoming Tibby's assistant. And now she's going to be tailing Tibby around all summer. And Tibby, you could tell, kind of likes the attention and likes this girl, but her sour demeanor won't allow her to accept Bailey as a friend.
Not wanting to admit that she is looking for a friend because all of her friends left her for the summer. And the age difference is like 4, 5, which at that age is pretty huge.
16 and 12.
Yeah. So time. Tibby's supposed to be 16 and Bailey is 12. So
Tibby hits her with what are you, 10? Bailey's like 12. Oh,
they start roasting each other in the living room. It was pretty good. And it's another trope of child actors and kid characters just talking like adults. Like, surprise, like the script was written by adults.
12-year-olds don't have these kind of comebacks. But Bailey shows herself, it proves to be a really good assistant. They interview this kid named Brian at the arcade, who is the best player of some random game.
It's Dungeons Lair 3D. And shout out, this is Leonardo Nam, a.k.a. Morimoto from Tokyo Drift, who also is in the show Westworld and recently showed up in Marvel's Werewolf by Night. So this guy is
doing all right.
He's a legend in my book, just for being in Tokyo Drift.
Now, I thought there was going to be a love story here with Brian and Tibby.
Yep.
Maybe there was, because towards the end, we do see him again, but it was never flushed out. But Tibby's whole documentary is showing the despair of people, and Bailey has these rose-colored glasses on, and she likes showing the good side of people and asking people interesting questions and making people happy. She's a very bright individual, and she's starting to soften up that old stone-hearted Tibby's.
And that's week 1 with Tibby. She just got pantsed. She meets Bailey, and Bailey wants to be her friend. Pants are off. They've been shipped away. So now we're at no pants with Tibby. And this is where we learn that Bailey has leukemia.
And they've stopped treatment. Basically, they're just letting it take her. Big sad.
Yeah, big sad. Makes sense why she fainted. We know Bailey's going to die, most likely, at this point in the movie. Bailey does know that Tibby knows that she has leukemia. So Tibby has this whole new outlook on life. And they are underneath the stars, and they're talking about how vast the galaxies and universes are, and life is so big. And Tibby says, are you afraid of death? And she says, no, I'm just afraid of what I'm going to miss. And you're like, oh, you're talking like a little adult.
Very wise little 12-year-old.
You kind of have to grow up fast if you're going to die in 2 weeks. Speaking of, weeks go by with the other girls, and we get the pants back with Tibby. Pants are back. They're back in town. But Bailey's in the hospital, and that sucks. Tibby brings the pants to Bailey.
I brought something for you.
The traveling pants.
So I was thinking, maybe you could have them for a while.
They didn't fit me, remember?
You have to take them, Bailey. You can't give up. These pants will give you a miracle.
And Bailey, crying on her deathbed, says,
The pants have already worked their magic. They brought me to you.
and then Tibby cries, and then my wife cries. And I'm like, it's pretty sad. And then later on, we overhear a phone call that Bailey, not necessarily, they don't say like she died, but someone just says, I'll let her know. And then we're like, okay, Bailey died.
Bailey's super dead. But she did leave Tibby one last tape of a recording on her camcorder with positive messages to finish her documentary and spread positivity. And so that's Tibby's solo story. And now we're going to get a little bit of a reunion and wrap up. So now the girls are going to start coming back together, and we're going to have to reconcile what happened this summer.
Carmen goes straight to Tibby to start bitching about the Get Out family. And this is where we have a clash of experiences and philosophies from their conflicts and life lessons of their summer experiences, because Carmen's complaining about the second family and the wedding and how everyone is so happy and annoying. And Tibby's like, well, I know this little leukemia girl who's dying, so maybe they're excited to look forward to things that they're blessed and privileged to experience, because not everybody's going to experience that, bitch.
Can you pretend to be on my side?
It's not about sides, Car. There are worse things than your dad getting married.
And Carmen's like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, you're supposed to be on my side, bitch.
Why are you giving me this hypocritical lecture about treating people decently when you walk around screaming, screw the world? Because that's easier than feeling something.
And Tibby's like, look, bitch, this is not what life is all about. I'm out. Bitch.
Now, we do have the only time I get some actual sense of cinematography. Tibby leaves. Carmen watches her out her bedroom window, and we get the exact same shot at the beginning of the movie as when her dad left. I don't know what this symbolizes, but we just get the same shot.
The quapness was popping off. He was quapping off.
He was,
if I may,
in his bag.
in his popcorn bag.
Carmen does do a little bit of soul searching and says, you know what? The problem is me. I've never told my dad how I feel. So she calls her dad on the phone and just lets it all loose. And this is a nice little emotional scene. I think this may have been the most emotion I've seen throughout the entire movie.
I think it's the best acted scene as well.
Absolutely. And she hits him with why did you leave? What was wrong with us? What was wrong with me? Why don't you want me around? Why didn't you tell me these things?
Why does Paul visit his alcoholic dad every month and you only come visit me twice a year?
The answer to that is I have a job, but So she tells him off,
Wow.
And he says, I'm sorry, I love you. And I think she hits him with a that's not good enough and hangs up.
Piss off, Dad.
So we had a little bit of reconciliation there, a little weight off of Carmen's chest. Now, Bridget returns home to her unemotional dad, right? She's going through problems, dad. His wife committed suicide. He's just a specter roaming the halls at this point in the game. He's got nothing to give.
Fun fact, this is her actual dad. This is Ernie Lively.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Not fun fact, he passed away in 2021.
Oh,
Right.
rest in peace, Ernie.
R.I.P. Ernie.
The gals do find out that Bridget is an emotional wreck because Lena does find the letter from Bridget where she's pouring her soul out about her time with the pants and how, she's super sad and depressed, and she thought banging this college dude was going to make her happy, and it didn't. Lena actually cuts her vacation short. She's got to come home and rally the troops. And but before that, we have Tibby and Carmen. When the gals are having a bad time, you got to go have a sleepover.
And pizza.
Sleepover and pizza. So they go have a sleepover and pizza.
Hell
We
yeah.
find out Bridget doesn't want to be like her mom, doesn't want to have these manic episodes.
This is when I looked over at my wife and said, wait, is she depressed? And did her mom kill herself? And my wife said, yes, you idiot.
Sorry, Quapis didn't really convey that to me. Sorry, I'm not a teenage girl who's picking up on these things.
She's too busy with matching camera frames and fog machines.
The important stuff.
Just like kind of Lena's conflict resolution, it's a conversation and an opening up. Basically confesses that she doesn't want to be like her mom, who's depressed. And then the next morning, the family dog steals the pants. And then she runs into who, Nick, on the streets of Maryland?
Our soccer coach from the Mexican soccer camp.
So she runs into him and says, hey, what are you doing here? And he says, oh, I was looking for you. And I was like, he's looking for why? What? They met in Mexico on the other side of the country in Baja, California. I know that because it was documented on the pants in the credit sequence. He's going to college in Columbia, which is in New York, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It's a 4-hour drive from the town that this takes place in to Columbia University. So, and that's with no traffic.
Like, what's going to happen? Is somebody going to stop him and say, hey, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm looking for this 16-year-old girl. Can you help me find her?
I'm just peering into houses and and just doing shots in the dark. Apparently, this town has a lot of fucked up streets because packages get misdelivered to different numbers, and there's streets that are just streets, and then there's ways and avenues, but they're named the same street. So it's very confusing.
It's a fucked up town.
When they meet up, they have, just like many other scenes together, it's very poorly written and poorly acted. It's very
Comes
weird.
across creepy as fuck.
Comes across uncomfortable and creepy. And he says, hey, what we did back there on the beach, when I did it with you, it was my fault. And Blake or Bridget's like, oh, what do you mean? And he says, well, it was my responsibility. So this dude who was trying to avoid jail this entire time knew exactly what he did. And he fucked up. And I want to say he showed up maybe for some hush money or something. Like, hey, don't tell anybody that we did this. Maybe that was a true reason why he had to go.
I think he was covering his tracks.
He didn't want to have any paper trails. He
probably called his dad, who's a lawyer, and his dad said, son, you better
drive 4 hours to Maryland, work this shit out.
You talk to her right now.
No phone calls, no emails, no letters. Do this a verbal exchange.
And luckily for him, Bridget says, oh, yeah, it wasn't a mistake. It's just something that happened. Like, no worries, water under the bridge. We're still friends.
She says, I did it for the wrong reasons. And then the scene ends with the coach basically saying, hey, hit me up when you're 20, though.
He's like, yeah, when you're 20 and you're...
There it is.
He's like, when you're 20 and you're a soccer star and you had all these dudes hanging on you, like...
Give me a shot.
Give me a chance.
It's like, okay.
And this is why I think he's 20, because no 19-year-old would be like, hey, when you're 20. He's thinking, hey, I'm 20. When you're 20, you call me. So this is why I think this dude's 20 years old and is a predator.
Lena returns. All the girls pick her up from the airport, and one last storyline to tie a loop in to close off that gap. It's going to be dragging Carmen to her dad's wedding. And what she could be wearing, Nick?
James, what is the only thing to wear in this situation?
To a wedding?
Some magical motherfucking pants.
Jeans. Bridget, however, I got a problem with this. She tries to bust the deal and hand the pants over to Carmen before her week is up.
Doesn't even spin the wheel, dude.
Yeah. So we got two problems there, and we're just making up pants policies on the fly. But Carmen's going to wear the jeans to the wedding, which is just flat out unthinkable. And they're on this road trip to South Carolina. The wedding's taking place at the creepy house family backyard. Carmen's sitting in the crowd, like in the 7th row back when her dad's getting married.
With her friends who are not invited.
It seems like they can use the guests, however, because this wedding looks really lame. I want to say there's about 10 rows of 12 chairs, 6 on each side, and it's about 40% full. It's a lame-ass wedding.
It's not good. These people are weird.
The bridesmaid is the daughter, and the best man is Paul. That's it.
I got no friends. But the dad does stop the whole ceremony to bring his daughter up there. And this reconciles everything, right? The years of abandonment, everything's fine.
Secret family
brings
lies.
her up to be up there with the wedding. And at the reception, the girls all laugh, have a great time. And you know what, James? We're all going to be A-okay.
And to that, I cheers you and say, to the pants.
To the pants.
And that is The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants from 2005, directed by straight, just Ken Kwapis. I couldn't even think of anything for him. Nick, you got any nitpicks for this movie?
Nitpicks. I do. First off, they make pants rules, and they don't follow the pants rules. No one gives a summary of their time with the pants. Bridget let someone else take off the pants. That was strictly forbidden.
Well, we don't know that because they cut away before we saw the terrible age difference sex scene.
I think that the rule was in the spirit of no banging when you're wearing the pants. We definitely broke that rule. So yeah, they made all these pants rules and I just don't.
Maybe the pants are retaliating because the pants policies are not being followed. So the pants are lashing out.
Could be a punishment.
Yeah, pants
The
punishment.
pants are the punishment. So we've given movies crap before when they tell us the rules up front. This one, they told us the rules up front, and then they didn't even follow the rules, which is like, why'd you give me the rules of the pants if we're not following the rules
Well,
of the
this is
pants?
a little different because I feel like you're talking about when they introduce rules about the world and how it works, and then later on we see evidence that, oh, that's not how it works. I'm okay with this one because it's teenage girls making up rules and then they break them. But you got to follow the pants rules. My nitpick is how Blake Lively is supposed to be the greatest soccer player at the age of 16, but you see this a lot in movies. Some of these guys aren't actually athletic, and her running form is very terrible and slow looking.
Yeah.
So that very, I guess, what was supposed to be a cute scene of her racing Eric, she's like doing the little chicken wing arm moves and not running fast. And Eric kind of has to awkwardly look like he's hauling ass, but he's actually going really slow. And I don't know what show it is, but there's that teenage guy who's throwing footballs, and he's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like a 90s, one of those 90s college movies.
I thought it was like a 2010s like ABC Family movie or show or something.
It happens all the time, though. Yeah. There's an athlete in a movie, supposedly, and they don't make a single athletic move. They're like, yeah, because you're a drama kid.
There's a shot where she straight kicks the ball towards the goal, and it is clearly going over the goal. And then they cut to a different shot where it just beams into the goal.
Yeah.
That's a general nitpick, is when they make the characters athletes, but the actors, unfortunately, are not athletes. And it looks awkward.
Yeah. My next nitpick is that Bailey is looking pretty good for someone who's fighting cancer and should be going through chemotherapy when we meet her through her treatments. And also, where are her parents?
Non-existent.
Because if my daughter was dying of cancer,
I'd be spending
I would
every
not
moment
just be
with her.
letting her. Yeah, you wouldn't be letting her out of the house, run around doing God knows what. You'd be taking her on trips and by her side, and she's good to go, minus the one faint. She's good to go, and then deathbed. She didn't lose any hair, no sunken eyes, no pale look.
Do you think she's not real?
She's a manifestation of the pants?
Yeah, did the pants create her like a mirage for Tibby?
Oh man. Other people know about her.
Right. So it's not an imaginary friend situation where Tibby can only see her. She does show up for everybody. But when someone shows up with no parents and a mysterious backstory, I'm more inclined to think that this is a setup. A little bit too much convenience happening here. Conspiracies brewing.
The pants.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I can get into that.
Any other nitpicks or talking points?
I mean, I don't like the age differences
going
on here.
No, nobody does.
And how it's just,
I wasn't sure if that was a nitpick or if it was just a general problem with the movie.
I just want to make sure it's said out loud for me to say, look, I know it was this coming of age story, and I'm sure the author was saying, hey, yeah, high school girls, they try to get with older guys, but it's not a good thing. Like, the lesson wasn't like,
hey, older guys, come get these young girls.
Right. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is,
hope you're not saying that.
As a 32-year-old guy watching it by myself without my wife, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't like this. I don't like this one bit.
And that is Nitpicks, brought to you by some psychotic pants. And we're going to move on over to talking points. Nick, my first talking point, my only talking point really, is what happened in the Dunas Caligaris fishgate of the 20th century. What really happened? Who's lying? What side of the family's lying? Was the fish truly bad? Or was the Caligaris family trying to do like some sort of insurance fraud because they weren't good chefs? Maybe they just suck at the restaurant game. Who screwed who?
Yeah, now you know me. I'm a huge fan of insurance fraud, so I'd love to take that angle. However, you could fish is unpredictable, man. You know what? It's probably the Caligaris family. And I'm guessing that Yaya and Poppy are probably bad people. That's why their kid ran off to America, because they're like, my parents are insane, and they have this whole beef going. It honestly sounded like the Caligaris family were a bit of bullies. They had most of the town on their side, shunning out those Donuts family.
Donuts.
Yeah. And so I think the Caligaris. Now, what I find crazy is that these two families decided that for the next few generations, they're going to stay in this town,
They're going to have problems.
living 100 yards from each other in hatred. That's a special kind of hatred you can't buy. And I do respect it a bit.
Well, that's the stubbornness you can expect from Papa.
Yeah. And I think that's why Papa is silent. You know what I mean? He doesn't have much to say.
He took a vow of silence ever since he got fish crossed.
Now, can I expand?
Yeah.
Do we know how long these pants have been around?
Oh, we don't.
Okay. Now, these pants travel. We know these pants
I was going to say, the sequel also takes place in Greece. So I feel like there's a lot of ties to this fish story in the pants.
So were the pants responsible? How long have the pants been plotting
That the pants
this summer?
Caused the downfall of the Caligaris dynasty, of their fish restaurant.
That's what I'm thinking.
I feel like it's trying to correct its course, and the pants are trying to go through a story arc and redeem themselves by going to Lena and trying to make amends and fix the generation's problem.
Yeah, the pants are neither good nor bad. They're just trying to teach us a lesson. You know, they're trying to make you they're giving you opportunities to prove yourself. And sometimes you fail, and sometimes you succeed. But the pants don't sway one way or the other.
It's one leg at a time. That's how the pants sees the world.
So I amend my question. Who was responsible for this Fishgate? The pants.
Pants. Agreed.
Pants.
Nick, you got any talking points?
Yeah, so I did want to bring this up. So the way we did the plot talk, we mentioned it. We just covered each girl's storyline. But I do want to say, watching the movie, the pacing of it is all kinds of weird. You know, we're following the girl with the pants. Sometimes we're with the girl without the pants. Sometimes we're jumping stories here, jumping stories there. This girl's writing a letter to that girl, but then we jump away from both those girls to this other girl. I really thought we were just going to maybe follow the pants around.
That might
easier.
Have been that'd be an easier way to follow it if we had a point of view of the pants. POVP.
I never knew who had the pants, who didn't have the pants. And this whole thing was about the pants.
That was a problem for me because I was literally writing down what the pants were doing and who they were with and what happened to that character when the pants were with them. But it didn't ultimately seem like it made that big of a difference because although I think we can all agree that these pants are sentient.
Yeah.
I don't think the pants didn't save Bailey on her deathbed, and the pants they're just in the background. You know, they're just like Jesus. They're just there.
They're just plotting.
Just like Jesus. It is a little bit funky because basically everyone gets 2 weeks with the pants. Well, it's not even segments of 8 because it does jump around. So we're basically restarting little mini story arcs every time. So we get the intros of everybody in their situation, and then we get a falling action, then we get a rising action, then we get a climax, then we get a falling action, then we get a rising action, then we get a resolution, and we get that kind of 4 times, but chopped up just like a diced carrot.
Yeah, out of sync.
I agree, and I think that just goes to it being from a book.
Come on, Quapis.
All right, Nick, this is the time of the show where we enter mini pops, our mini awards,
Pop.
the crowning achievements, the lowlights, the highlights of this movie. And some of these results are going to enter a grand finale in our end of the year episode. Nick, starting out with the best weapon. I have a couple nominees here, but what do you think? So as you can see
I don't
here,
want to say what I wrote down.
was it leukemia?
I feel bad about it now. Yeah.
That's what Emily said.
It's the only thing in this movie with a kill count.
Well, unless you can weaponize leukemia, Nick, is it the rock that Carmen threw at the window, the tennis ball that Carmen beamed Paul in the head with, or is it the pants themselves because they are pretty mysterious?
I think it ends up being the pants.
I think it has to be the pants. It causes everything that happens in this movie.
I think that's where we're at.
Pants.
It's the pants.
Speaking of getting violent and getting down and dirty, Nick, choose your fighter. Who threw down the best in this movie? What is your nomination? It looks like it ties into your original best weapon.
Yeah, I chose Bailey because she fought cancer and she's a baller. Okay.
Now, this is supposed to be taken literally, like a fist fight. Like, who would be the best fighter? If you think if you could build a case for Bailey, then unfortunately, at some point down the road, she will enter the Thunderdome and possibly face off against other best fighters that we've crowned over the course of this podcast.
I might have to choose the pants.
No, we can't choose the pants.
We don't know how powerful they are.
No, not the pants. You gotta be a person. The pants, we didn't see them move and get animated, pick up a knife and stab somebody.
We didn't see it.
My nominations are going to be Carmen, because she beamed Paul in the head with the tennis ball and then was the only one who threw a rock at somebody and caused damage. Otherwise, I was going to say the Greek grandma, because she does push Costas in the club. But that's really the only sense of violence that we see in this movie. It's a light shove.
I don't think any of these folks are ready to enter the Thunderdome.
One of them's going to have to. And Nick, who's it going to be? Honestly,
I'll give it to Greek grandma. Then. Carmen's not ready.
Okay, Nick is going to spare Carmen's life. Greek grandma's going into the popcorn dome. She's going to get wrecked. Okay, Nick, any standout pieces of shit from this movie?
Lot of standout pieces of shit. Carmen's dad, Carmen's dad's new wife, whoever's running that soccer camp.
I have kind of similar selections. So I had the soccer coach, Eric, because the whole time he was trying to prove that he's a good guy and doesn't want to bang a 16-year-old girl. But then at the end, when he says, yo, when you're 20, like, hit me up. Whoa, creepy. Sticking with Carmen's extended weird family, Krista, a little bit of a bitch, being very catty and laughing at Carmen behind her back. She's very ignorant and just doesn't catch a clue. However, we do have one name that is on both of our lists, and it's Carmen's dad. It's Al, who just hid his secret family from Carmen and invited her on the spot to their wedding that is happening.
Didn't even go look for his daughter when she was ran off.
No.
I mean, just some all-time shitty behavior.
Yeah. And then on his wedding day, he doesn't reach out and invite, well, maybe he does, but we don't see it. But it seems like Carmen spills her guts to her dad, and then he just kind of takes the verbal confrontation over the phone and is like, oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. And then we don't quite see a resolution on his end. And then all of a sudden, he's like, get over here and stand up here at the altar with me. So I feel like that could have been, he's putting on a show for his 20-person attended wedding because he sucks.
I think it's Carmen's dad.
It's Carmen's dad.
Or Paul's alcoholic father. I don't know.
Maybe he was the drunk driver in Smoke Signals.
Dude. Talk about shitty dads.
Opposite effect. Most valuable character. Who we got here?
My most valuable character was Bailey, the only person in this movie worth a damn. A good person fighting through adversity, had a good outlook on life, and actually made a positive impact on Tibby, on someone else's life.
I 100% agree. I wrote down Carmen because I think she's probably the most important character to the movie. However, Bailey is a little bit of a linchpin domino effect for the girls because she dies. She's super dead. It affects Tibby. That prompts Tibby to put Carmen on straight track of confronting her dad. And then when Carmen finally unloads her trauma and abandonment issues, then she feels good. And then they focus their attention on Bridget. And then Bridget has a creepy conversation with Eric in the streets. All that love kind of does a little boomerang U-turn back towards Carmen and helps her reconnect with her dad in a very quick fix way at the end.
I agree.
So yeah, I agree. I think Bailey's the most valuable character of this movie. And we're going to get real negative here, Nick.
Yeah, James,
what is the worst scene of this movie? Which scene between Blake Lively and Michael Vogel is going down as the worst scene in this movie? For me, I said it was the final.
It's got to be the final
scene.
one.
Yeah,
absolutely. Or really any scene where she's trying to seduce him in front of hundreds of people, pouring water on herself and
grinding on them.
Weird vibes all around.
Someone's opening up the door here. Emily, what was the worst scene between Blake Lively and Michael Vogel? The final scene when he's like, hit me up when you're 20, or when she pours water on her head, or when she grinds on him in the cantina.
Can't get over the water on the face.
Emily can't get over the water on the face.
Yeah, I'm down for that one. That's a bad one.
All right, water on the face, reconcile scene, all the same. Worst scene, Nick. Hit me with your best scene.
Yeah, for me, it was when Carmen is on the phone with her dad, reconciling with him and really just letting her emotions out. She gets emotional, starts crying, lets out that classic, why did you leave? Was I not good enough? Really confronts a lot of her demons. We did talk a little bit about how everybody's going through some sort of trauma, but it's not explained. And then it comes out at the end and we don't quite feel it, right? We don't quite feel the sting of that emotional payoff. But this actually makes sense because Carmen has clearly suppressed it. She's even expressed that she's held everything inside. So when she lets it all out, it feels much more natural than, oh, I was depressed the whole time. Like, what?
Huh?
Carmen put on this smiling face and then finally just boom, opened up the dam
Floodgates.
and let it all out. It was the most emotion shown.
Another moment that could jerk your tears, turk your jeers, if you will, just to have a different answer. And I originally wrote this down anyway. I do like the scene when Bailey understands that Tibby now knows that she has leukemia. It feels like it's the most authentic moment of the movie. Like no one has an adult written answer. She says, "Are you just asking me to hang out because you feel bad for me?" And then Tibby's like, "I don't know, I guess." And then Bailey just accepts it and is like, "All right, well, this is my life." It felt like
Thanks
a very,
for being honest.
yeah, it was just a very honest written scene. I thought the acting was good. It's a very small moment, so it's a very small scene. So I just want to shout that out. But Carmen ripping her dad a new one, aka the biggest piece of shit this movie, is also very good. Nick, let's bring these pants home, and maybe we should bury them with the Ark of the Covenant based on their sadistic agendas. But let's bring it home with a sarcastic selling point. I'm going to hit you with mine. This is a teenage coming-of-age drama with uncomfortable age of consent situations.
Oh, very nice.
And pants.
I said this is all of Taylor Swift's album rolled up into one movie.
Wow. Shots fired.
Final review. Fight.
Final review time. Here we go. Here's what the other guys are saying about the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, starting out with Rotten Tomatoes. 82% of the critics gave this a thumbs up. 3.5 stars out of 5.
Wow.
Bitch.
The people have it at a 78.
All right. Metacritic is going to bring us back down to earth and slap this with a 66, aka a 6.6 on the popcorn scale.
And the people are right on board also with the 6.6.
And now our sister traveling, pants unraveling, score with some questionable consent from IMDb, a 6.5. Whoa, it's like we're wearing the same pair of pants with that one. So that's what the other guys are saying. Here's what we're saying. Nick, I'm going to hit you with my laughable log line, my popcorn points, and my final thoughts on this movie. 4 teenage girls buy a pair of pants that suspiciously fits them all and proclaim it as their god of fate for their summer travels. 6.6 popcorn points. It's based on a book. You're trying to jam a lot of storylines into one movie. I feel like the author and the screenwriters always have this tango going on with each other of, you got to include this, but we can't include this, but I really want to include this, but the author says that won't quite fit, but the studio says, but I want to make it fit. However those deals go behind closed doors, I think it's just a lot to take on. The demographic is for teenage girls, so obviously this movie's not made for us. And we're not looking at cinematography, we're not looking at editing, sound design, or even acting, because some of these actors are 16. It's pretty surface level on the filmmaking part of this movie. It hinges on the characters and the story. So like we discussed, the storyline, so Bridget has a depression storyline, but I actually didn't even know that was the storyline until the very end. But it just seemed like it was the weakest and most unclear storyline of the group. And then a talk with the friends fixes it. Lena, we got a Romeo and Juliet story going on. The resolution is that you got to stop being stubborn. And again, it's a talk at the end that says, hey, quit being stubborn and accept that I love this person. And it's a stand up to your elders moment. And then it fixes the problem. Now, Tibby and Carmen have the strongest storylines that have a little bit more engaging and interesting things that happen in it. Starting out with Carmen, we got a classic second family story. She's the misfit. She feels like she doesn't belong. She feels like she's been abandoned. We got body image problems. So all very relatable to people. She has the longest story play out. And I feel like she's the only one who confronts her issue in the most realistic way with the scene where she confronts her dad on the phone. So her side of the conflict feels like it gets resolved and she gets stuff off her chest, but we don't quite see the dad's turning point on the other side, because the next time we see the dad, it's at the wedding and he's like, get on up here, daughter. And then we're all good. But I guess the whole point was that Carmen was supposed to be accepting that she needs to tell her dad how she truly feels. And then that kind of snaps Carmen's dad into a Slim Jim. And then he's like, I fucked up. And then with Tibby, we get this dealing with death story. Her lesson is that everything is all relative. It's all in the grand scheme of things. Sometimes the magic pants don't work, just like prayers. Sometimes the prayers don't work. And it's just, that's how life goes. So her point of view on things changes. You got to appreciate every day that you're going through. And, we had emotional beats with Tibby's storyline, Carmen's storyline. So positive points there. Other positives is that, we got real life problems being addressed. America Ferrera's acting is very good. Got some little bit of tearjerker moments here and there. It's a passing grade for me. It's a fine movie, cute little movie. Not anything that I would watch again or necessarily recommend. I'm actually right in line. I'd be third in line with Metacritic, critics, fans, and me. All 6.6.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and give you my laughable log line. 4 best girlfriends split up for the summer and try not to give in to questionable advances from older dudes while another girl dies of cancer.
Oh, no.
This is a 4.2 for me. So look, I said this earlier. I'm not the audience for this. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the book expanded on more things. But I didn't read the book. I'm never going to read the book. I'm trying to go off what the movie gave me. We didn't have enough flushed out in the beginning to make some of the emotional payoffs really take place. There was a very quick wrap up once the pants finally worked their magic for the resolution for a lot of the girls' stories. I agree. Bailey, Tibby's story was good. The Carmen story was good, kind of wrapped up weird. Still not sure about the Bridget story, and I'm not sure what lesson Lena really learned other than just to stand up for herself and be a little more bold when it came to some older Greek dude. So I'm not sure about the motivation on that one. The story jumped around a lot. So again, I'm not sure how the book handled it. I'm assuming they probably handled it in a more ordered fashion, but the movie jumped around a lot for me. For a movie called The Traveling, talking about the traveling pants didn't play that big of a role in what we were doing here. The script, the acting, I don't want to tear apart too much because, a lot of the younger girls, teenage girls, I'm not expecting a whole hell of a lot of you. But the script left a lot to be desired. And then, we talked about it a lot. There were some real world issues there, but the way it was written was just so on the nose. Just, it felt really forced.
Too preachy,
very forced. And again, I know this was written for teenage girls. That's fine. It doesn't make it okay from a movie making standpoint, right? You could trust that teenage girls can catch a little more subtlety in there. You didn't have to be so, she has body image issues, therefore this older woman is just going to body shame her in front of a tailor. And like, there are people like that who exist, but not, to the level that everything was happening in this movie. No, just not very believable for me, which again, wasn't the point of the movie for the audience, but that doesn't give you a pass on a movie making standpoint, Quapis. So, it's in the force. It's stale popcorn. That's just where it's got to be.
And where it's got to be is right in between Romancing the Stone and Cutthroat Island.
I can live with that.
That was the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Nick, sounds like you loved the movie. I thought it was pretty cute. And we appreciate you guys coming along this pants traveling journey with us. Keep it up. Keep up with us. Follow us on the road. Follow us on socials. We are on Instagram and YouTube at Just Play It Podcast. We are on X, aka Twitter, at Just Play It Pod. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please join us next time because announcement, we got our first and only 40/40 offender coming down the pike because it's a movie that is terrible with the critics and flopped at the box office. So it's going to be a big one. Nick?
The name of it suggests it's part of a series, but I'm not sure if that's the case.
I don't know what Bill Cosby's trying to pull, but we're going to be with him next week, and I'm pretty scared for those results.
Not the first time anyone said that about Bill Cosby.
Speaking of questionable consent, we're heading gone, and remember, if you find some pants on a shelf at a thrift store that fit all of your friends, put them back, do not buy it, and walk away, because they're going to be out to get you. She's a horn dog.
What a wild coincidence. Pants.